Welcome to the Grow Smarter podcast, where we discuss all things HubSpot and business growth. I'm Nathan George from Pixeled, and I've got Paula with me today, digital marketing strategist here at Pixeled.
Hi, everyone.
So today we're going to be talking about loop marketing, and in particular, a stage of loop marketing, the first stage of loop marketing, and maybe the most important, right? But let's have a quick overview. Paul, do you want to explain what is loop marketing?
So loop marketing is basically HubSpot marketing playbook that they launched last year. And this is basically like AI has really impacted everything, and that includes marketing and the way that people consume products and services. So we needed to rethink how can we actually adapt the strategies to how things are looking like now, and everything is changing quite quickly. So they released this loop marketing playbook, which is not extremely different to what we always sort of knew. The foundation's still there, but it's sort of, I guess the main change is that now there are so many platforms and information is so fragmented and everywhere that it's really hard to plan in a strategy where we control the journey of
elements,
people.
The steps.
Exactly. How do they know, how do they engage, and how they convert?
Old school marketers will be aware of the funnel, and it was very easy to understand. The customer starts here, they go through these stages, and then at the end, they buy something from us. Really easy to visualize, really easy to understand, but that only works in a world where you control what the consumer or the customer does through those steps. But that's kind of changed, right? Everyone consumes content differently, and people do what they want now and purchase how they want now. So I think in between then and now, HubSpot was very famous for the flywheel. And we obviously were big fans of the flywheel concept, where you build momentum for your business and, attract people in and then engage with them and then make them into raving fans of yours so they refer more people. And that was kind of a nice concept to latch onto as well. I think people can understand that whole continuous improvement concept. But loop kind of throws it all, adds another layer to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's all about speed and being a bit more reactive. So maybe you could roll in a strategy and try to hold into it for like a year, right? And see results. I think now they basically sort of still in this circle, right? So the stages are Express, which is the one that we're going to talk about today. Then Amplify, then
Tailor,
there you go. And then Evolve.
Yeah.
And it's basically a circle because it all sort of fit in each other constantly. And I think, yeah, probably I will say that this marketing loop is in response to help us gain more speed, more data, and to just be everywhere, really.
That's the new AI world, really, is do everything and do more.
Yeah.
So what is Express all about? What do we do in the Express stage?
So I think Express stage is, as you said, definitely the foundation. If that is wrong or not done properly, I guess everything else kind of like
falls
can be
down.
affected. Yeah, pretty much. So I think when we think about Express, we might think, oh, it's just, the way that your brand talks. So you might think, oh, it's just a tone of voice, which it is an element, but it's not all about. So as I said, I guess Express stage comes to really, really think about your brand personality, but you need to think about two main things in order to build it. One is who we are as a brand. How do you want to position yourself? But also, who do we serve? Because also the way that we present ourselves needs to match to our audience, like to attract them, right? So it's way more than just a tone of voice. It also includes design as well.
Visuals, yeah.
Yes, all of that. So,
and it's very helpful if your Express stage, and we've decided to name it an AI style guide, but there's numerous terms in this new AI world being thrown around. We call it Answer Engine Optimization, AEO. Other people are calling it other things. But an AI style guide, it should include a unique perspective. There's no point. It used to be that you could, your characteristics were professional, helpful, but that's, 90% of businesses would have those characteristics in their tone of voice. So it's really about what you were saying before about like who and what problems you solve, but having a unique take. And I guess the whole point of this is to feed AI engines, whatever AI engine you're using, so that it can think like you, not write like you. People often assume that it's just to create copy that sounds right, but they need to think like you, so that everything that AI, all the AI tools are using your style guide to think and expand and scale your outputs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I guess when we said like, oh, like, I guess we have this conversation with clients all the time about how do we use AI here, right? And it can be like, well, if everything we can do it through AI, you feel like, okay, what's the point of your work? Or we seen even like, we talk about this every day in the office. I could tell you exactly right away when I know that there's been a brand that published a blog or a post that is completely AI, not prompts whatsoever. So then the risk is that every brand starts sounding the same. So therefore nothing really lands. It doesn't really feel genuine. So I think Express Stage brings, I guess, the reality, which we need AI in order to have, content speed. We need to create way more. So we need something that works for us, but in a cool way. And then also cost, because now you need to be everywhere. But there's also a lot of money involved. So it helps you to accelerate. So the point is, we know that we need a little help of AI to produce all this. So we need basically this express content where we actually detail as much as we can. So therefore the output, it actually represents your brand and it looks good and it's engaging for people.
I think a lot of companies are still just like getting used to it, AI obviously, and they're just doing those sort of single prompt outputs. So they'd go in and ask for what they need, but they're not really giving any backstory, any sort of intentional goals for that piece of content or whatever they're producing. And it ends up just like being generic and AI slop.
It's horrible.
I mean, the next step up from that, if you're getting a little bit more advanced with AI, is that you'll prompt it to not use M dashes and colons so much. And so you'll change the formatting so it doesn't look like AI or not as instantly recognizable as AI, but it's still thinking like generic AI, right? It's using the same brain that every other person prompting like that does. And so the style guide, and the one of the benefits of HubSpot is you're able to pull in all of your business's data. So not just who you want to work with and how you work and what problems you solve, but you can bring in customer conversations, reviews, like the meeting transcripts, things that have gone well. So there's all this context all of a sudden where HubSpot knows like your DNA and can feed the answer engines to produce something so much more meaningful at scale.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess then you can pick your battles to see how much you want to rely on AI to produce content. For example, my recommendation will be, I don't know, if you have to send an email newsletter about, I don't know, an announcement that something's coming, maybe AI will be perfect for you to help you, write that piece of content. And then you can, spend more time thinking about where are you going to send that email. But if you have to write a blog, that's better not to use AI in the sense of like try to make sure that all the information comes from your expertise so that it actually detects that you're trustworthy and you can help sort of that content that is more unique. You can use AI to help us structure it, but perhaps I wouldn't write from scratch because at the end of the day, AI, that prompt is going to help shape whatever information you want to give to fit your tone, but not the content. The content is going to be generic, so you need to prompt that information. So if you were, describing the style guide, we can talk a little bit about the components so people know exactly. And it's actually quite a fun exercise because sometimes it even happens to us when we try to redefine pixel strategy constantly. Sometimes you think you know so much about your own brand, but when you start having these specific questions, not everyone knows the actual answers. So it's such a good exercise for businesses to do. So one of the main things that we will recommend at the top is like adding what is your mission, what are your values, what do you want to be, what's your positioning statement. That's something that generically business they do right. That's important and you can rethink about it. Then another thing that is quite important as well is like, as we said, adding who is your ideal customer. This is called ideal customer profile, which is not exactly the same as the concept of buyer personas that HubSpot did have in the past.
So when we had humans writing all of the content, the buyer persona was like ideal, right? It was this fictional character that we could imagine in our mind, and it gave us like to really like be in their shoes and write specifically for that person. But answer engines don't really need that. They don't need to get into the mind in the same way. They're a little bit more literal and can understand a broader context than just one single person. So that's why I think buyer personas are kind of out these days.
I guess ideal customer profile, as we said, like it's sort of similar, but the information, like for example,
It's less fictional though.
exactly.
It can be broad, like a broader description of an ideal customer.
And by that I mean fictional. When we did like buyer personas, we used to look like
Silly
things
Sally or
like
Smart Simon.
they read the newspaper on Sunday mornings, like things like that. Probably I might not do much with that sort of data anymore.
Yeah.
So an ideal customer profile is exactly who is the best fit for your services or product. And it's not only about like, you know, the demographic or age or, you know, the location, income. It could be also about, and to me, this one is a very big one. What are the goals that they need to achieve? What are the reasons why they will come to you? What's the problem that they're facing? What's their challenge? All of that really helps.
Just another reason to have HubSpot, because all those conversations are already in your CRM. They can feed everything.
Yeah, and you can connect it with Breeze and it's magical.
Yeah.
Then like, you know, also like, I guess there's one bullet point that is called, I think they call it sensitivity. And it's perhaps a little bit different from buyer personas, but still relevant. Like, is there anything that they don't like? Like, let's say you are like a professional service brand or like, I don't know, a lawyer.
Yeah.
So perhaps like, is there anything they don't like to hear from, or people wouldn't like to hear? Like, you know, you might want a lawyer firm that looks more professional and serious. So all the things you can input. That's one part of it.
That's a very underestimated component of any strategy or guide is the negative side of things. So explaining who your customers are, what they want, what you are, what you stand for, but also include what you don't stand for. Be really specific about what you're not. That can go a really long way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's true that sometimes we forget about it, but that will shape so much more like the uniqueness of how that output. Then we have the tone of voice. Probably this is the more familiar, I guess, concept.
Yeah.
But we can break it in very specific sort of prompts. Like, for example, I found this quite fun, and HubSpot also has an area where you can select it. Like, what is the voice personality traits? Are we, I don't know, bold? Are we compassionate? Are we, you know, driven, edgy, elegant, human? That sort of personality traits. We have something quite fun as well in the Pixeled website about the archetypes that sometimes could help you to do that. Do you want to tell a bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the branding world, there's this concept of brand archetypes. There are 12 sort of main styles of brands, and we have an assessment on our website, and people can sort of work out what their primary brand archetype might be and their secondary archetype. So, for example, one is the caregiver, and they're more about, you know, looking out for other people and compassion and all of those things. Another one is the sage. They're all about wisdom and sharing knowledge. The joker is a bit more fun and lighthearted. So understanding your brand archetype can be really good from a branding perspective when you're creating visuals and understanding who you are, but it definitely feeds into answer engines. It's a pretty well-known concept as well. So AI knows all about brand archetypes and can use that as even more fuel.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so fun to do a quiz and see, you know, because sometimes you might get an answer that you didn't expect.
Another thing to be wary of, I don't know if you were going to touch on this, but you could have we say this in branding, and this absolutely applies in AI as well. We could have a slightly different archetype or tone for different channels. So for our website, we might be more, like, for example, I'll use Pixel as an example. We might be a bit more professional on the website and maybe more the sage brand archetype, wanting to impart wisdom. But on our social media, it might be a little bit more honest, authentic, playful, and less professional. Not that we're stupid silly, but like it tones it down. So it's okay to also, have specific channels and sort of tailor those that tone of voice, that personality to those channels.
Yes, and that's something also that we include in this tone of voice. Like it has to be like define the channel, like a specific adjustment for the tone of voice, exactly like you're saying. And it's something that perhaps at the beginning you won't allow the time to go into the nuances of every channel and be very specific, but it actually goes a long way because then when you're prompted, that's just going to make everything faster in the end and better quality.
Yeah.
And then a last one, was similar to what we said before, like be very specific about the words and phrases that you use and the words and phrases to avoid, because then, AI might give all those terms that you don't want. Also, like how much metaphor you want to include, how much slangs you want to include or not, all the preferred vocabulary, or do we talk as a you or as a we for your brand? All those nuances that you can think of is great, and the idea is like you do this very foundational job at the very beginning. That's going to be the base. You can always edit it and add more to it, but it actually really is worth it to take the time to sit down and really do that before starting. That's just pretty much what we're doing right at the moment with Pixel. We have also adapted our strategy documents and how we are revisiting pretty much the tone of voice and how we are, sort of building the express stage for every client. And it's worth to pause and take the time and just make it right from the get-go.
So this style guide, if you're a HubSpot user, can exist in the CRM platform itself in the background. You can configure some settings in HubSpot and you can have source information with your style guide. If you're using ChatGPT, you can add it to your ChatGPT account, or you might create a GPT of your own and have that as a source document. Same with other AI engines, Gemini and whatnot. And then once it's set up, everyone can just leverage it, use it, right? And so your team can be more consistent across the board. And like you say, it can be evolved and updated and iterated on over time if it's not producing exactly, what you need.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess what we said at the start was that things can fall down if in the later stages of the loop marketing, if we don't get this right. I think one of the next stages is Tailor, where we're sort of like personalizing content. And you can sort of see if we start tailoring content at scale, but this express stage is not defined, we're going to be scaling out all this weird tailored messaging to our potential customers that don't even hit home, that don't actually hit the mark.
Yeah, so I think that's always the key. Use AI wisely for speed, but still try to be as recognizable and different as you can, because now everything is pretty much this, like so much content because everyone thinks that they can do it. So I guess, I think this year is probably all about using AI in a different way, a more strategic way. I feel like we all went through the phase like, oh, we can generate these images, we can create this faster, and it's just very flashy, but it's just falling out of like substance.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great exercise, really.
So this is the year for the AI style guide. Get your strategy in place so that you don't sound like the rest of the AI slop that's being pumped out to the internet at the moment.
I know. If I see any other ads saying unlock this or looking for or all in triplets, it's just like I don't read it anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I feel, but maybe because we're very immersed into it. But I do think people realize when it's not genuine.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Paula, for explaining express stage of loop marketing today.
Thank you.
I look forward to the conversation on the other stages some other time.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks.